Alright. Hope you guys have been enjoying your day. This is a little something different. So I'm looking in the comments section. Well, not my comment section. I'm mainly Facebook every now and then, and from certain things I'm reading online about who is better, Blaster Blade or Blaster Dark. Who is the stronger card? Who just outdoes the other one? I'm having a hard time saying it myself, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna just read out what they do one by one with the retire skills for both of them. When Blaster Blade is placed, he can retire a unit for the cost of 1 counter blast and 1 soul blast in the front row, retiring units in the front row. Versus Blaster Dark, who can retire one of your opponent's rear guards, but of their choice. So what I can say here is the retire skill for Blaster Blade, you had to pay a little bit of extra. 1 counter blast and a soul blast, like I said. But meanwhile, Blaster Dark only has to pay one thing, and that's a counter blast. But here's where the things differ. They're kind of restricted in their own ways. Blaster Blade can only get rid of something in the front row. And if you're going up against an Accel clan, that's like a little bit of something extra. So I guess that kind of rules it out, I guess. But Blaster Dark in today's current meta, your opponent gets to choose the card that gets retired. So if it's going up against something like Promise Daughter, or Blytops, or Laser Ratarex, that kind of gives them something, and they don't really lose out on anything, and you can choose Promise Daughter, like I said before, and nothing happens. You just basically wasted a Soul Blast. So he's a little bit more situational there. So even though that you're only restricted to the front row, I say Blaster Blade kind of gets to the point right there, because you can just choose what gets retired in the front row, and Blaster Dark is situational like that. You may not always use it. And now for their Vangaurd skills. One thing that also these skills have in common is pretty much depending on rear guards. One depends on your own rear guards, and one depends on your opponent's rear guards. So, Blaster Blade. If you have 4 or more rear guards on board, you get an extra critical. Simple enough, right? And Blaster Dark. If your opponent has no rear guards present, discard a card from your hand, and Blaster Dark will get Twin Drive. Alrighty. So, I personally think they're both pretty good, but also at the same time, they're not also likely to go off every single game you get. What's more likely to go off? Blaster Dark's Vanguard ability or Blaster Blade's Vanguard ability? I will have to lean a little bit more towards every now and then Blaster Blade might go off a little bit more, because all you have to do is pretty much place 4 rear guards, and you shouldn't have so much of a problem with it if you use Akane. She makes a column, and you're pretty much just using 3 cards basically to get the extra critical. But the downside about it is, if you don't have any units that superior call, or that can make you a column like Akane or Marin, because you pretty much draw a card, you don't really lose something extra because of the skill. You're going to be using cards from your hand that you could be using to defend yourself to pretty much get an extra critical. So in its own right, it's good, but it still is not something you may get off every single time. I mean, you can still get off pretty easily if you use Barkle and then use Akane to pretty much make a board. That's the only easy thing I can say. Now, as for Blaster Dark, one thing I can say good about him, he kind of forces rear guards to appear from your opponent's hand, so that because they kind of don't want you to get that twin drive skill off if it's possible. If your opponent, and it also kind of depends if you're going first. If you're going first against OTT, you get the grade 2 first, and you don't have to worry about Promise Daughter if you pretty much have Blaster Dark in hand. That's one thing. Now, for retiring, like I said, this card kind of forces a little bit more cards out of your hand, so which is a good thing. They're kind of lowering their defenses a bit, so you don't get the twin drive. If you can use Blaster Dark skill twice, if they only like call out 2 rear guards, then good on you. But they call out 3, you're not so much, and it might even be in the back row just for kicks. And if you actually think about it, Blaster Dark's retire skill actually may even force your opponent to call out 2 rear guards. Because they choose, and let's say they have a card that they don't want blown up. So it's not that bad in his own right either. A combo they can actually get to use like 2 Blaster Dark retire skills is using Nevin, rest her, call out another Nevin or another 5k rear guard that you want to call, and that new card that was released not too long ago, Cursed Lancer. If you have no face of counterblast in your damage zone, countercharge. And if you somehow have another Blaster Dark in your hand, obviously, counterblast again, use that skill. If they have no other rear guards, then discard a card and then get the twin drive. But is it worth it? I'm not sure. That's a lot of cards that you're kind of losing just to get a twin drive. It's a lot of work. And you're not really guaranteed to even get a trigger. Blaster Blade, all he has to do to get his critical is just like call out 4 rear guards if it's even possible. Blaster Dark, you get a pretty much like a maybe possible double critical, which is pretty good, but still, like I said, it's not guaranteed. So after what I just said, I hope I made some sense and may have like brought up a bit of a topic for your enjoyment. Who do you think is better, Blaster Blade or Blaster Dark? They may not be the best cards, but I don't think they're bad. I mean, Blaster Dark's gonna have a little bit of trouble going up against OTT and things that plus that when they get retired. It's interesting though, so like I said, who do you think is better? Comment down below, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.